Dude. Fish on.
Hey, Forrest here. Nothing like getting paid. And with ICCU's mobile app, I can deposit checks or accept Zelle payments so the money hits my account fast. I just wish there was an app for mowing the rest of these lawns.
Get ready for the time of your life at Circa Resort and Casino, Las Vegas's newest destination for fun, featuring the world's biggest poolside tailgate party with 3 levels of action, 6 pools, and a 143-foot screen. The fun is always on deck with all the games all year long. Stadium Swim, located in downtown Las Vegas on Fremont Street. Book the time of your life today at circalasvegas.com.
Row.com is going all in this season with an all-star lineup. It's Coach Leon Rice and Andy Rowe.
Oh, no. Want to just paint my house?
When I want Boise State to win, I trust Coach Rice to lead the Broncos to victory.
And when I want the best painting and garage floor coating, I trust rowpaint.com to get that job done right.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Today's broadcast is coming from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Canned Cocktails is perfect for your next game day tailgate party. Now, here's 4-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing, Boise State fans? Happy Friday to you. You've almost made it through another week. We got beautiful weather this weekend, so it's going to be a great weekend, and we appreciate you kicking it off with Sports Director Jay Tust at KTVB and myself, BJ Rains, with Bronco Nation News. A lot to discuss today. Jay Tust, a lot to discuss today. But again, I see a few white clouds up there, but it's supposed to be another nice warm day to start the weekend. It's Friday. How we doing, Jay?
I'm good. Finally, man. A bunch of softball to watch yesterday. NNU, Boise State had a thrilling victory. Congrats to Justin Schultz and the Broncos as they get to stay alive and play in the day 2 of the Mountain West tournament, where they are in a do or die scenario this afternoon at 3:00. So we'll see if the Broncos can get it done.
Yes, well, we can give them some quick love here real quick. We have some different, more serious topics, things to get into, but you mentioned they lost the nightcap, so they will play today at 3:00 in the losers bracket. But Jay, 2 outs, down by 2 in the top of the 7th. Just an unreal comeback for the Broncos.
Yeah, I don't know how many times you're going to see that type of comeback, but Alicia Flores, 2-run bomb, up at the top of the 7th inning. Boise State was the away team because they were the lower seeded team, but Alicia Flores just continues to play the role of hero for the Boise State softball team down the stretch. She's hitting .417 over her last 17 games, 22 RBI. 5 bombs, I believe. So she is red hot right now for the Broncos.
Then we had by the way, you see Spencer Danielson, Jeremiah Dickey. They showed up at the perfect time, by the way. They had just shown up right before that last inning and saw quite the comeback. But you always love the controversial, what a suspense here on the final call at first base. You love a game ending on a review at first, Jay Tust. But the Broncos do get the win in the first game. It was a really nice crowd. Again, down 4-1 going to the top of the 7th. As you said, they scored 3 in the 7th, 1 in the 8th. They win the game 4-3, which that was a single elimination tournament, a play-in game technically. Then, as we all see in March Madness, they kind of now copied that with the bracket here, Jay Tust. We all got great footage of this. Nobody in anybody's way. It was a great shot here, and that was a pretty cool moment for them. Unfortunately, Jay, not quite as exciting there with the nightcap, and that puts them into their season on the brink this afternoon.
Yeah, they have to win. They take on UNLV, a team they had a little bit of success against. They split a doubleheader with UNLV earlier this year here in Boise. So, we'll see if they can survive and advance. If they do, then it's going to be a long road ahead here if they're going to win this thing. They got to win 4 games in the next 2 days in order to be Mountain West champs and secure an automatic ticket to the NCAA tournament or regionals at least. So, yesterday's game, though, the game one, man, really just a phenomenal performance. And there's so many players that you could point out for their efforts. Jenna Bloom coming out of the bullpen, got out of a bases loaded jam in the bottom of the 7th. One of the cooler things, obviously, you saw Flores, but it felt like Little Big League or something like that, man, with Randy Johnson coming out of the bullpen to try to get the last out. And Fresno State went back to the Mountain West Pitcher of the Year to face the Mountain West Freshman of the Year and Sophia Knight. And she comes up with an RBI single in the top of the 8th. And that was ultimately the game-winning hit for the Broncos. But just a number of big-time efforts. Holly Farmer, man, she had a solo shot to start that inning, and that was kind of like the eye-opening moment, like, hey, maybe they can jump back into this thing. And a few batters later, then Flores hits the solo jack, or the 2-run jack. So a really cool game, man. That was a really exciting finish, and Boise State managed to kind of flip the script on some of their outcomes from earlier this year. There were times when they were struggling a little bit that they couldn't finish off teams, and now they're the team that rallies back from a 3-run deficit against the Mountain West Pitcher of the Year in the 7th inning to ultimately get the win.
Well, they're up against it now, though. They'd have to win 4 games in a row to win this tournament here. They have to win at 3:00 against the 2-seed UNLV, who they did split with, I believe, in the regular season. And then they've got to play again at 6:30 if they're 6:00 if they win that game. And then they would play the championships games tomorrow, but they would have to beat the first place team twice, or the team in the championship spot. So they'd have to win 2 today and 2 tomorrow. Certainly up against it, but they're still alive at least.
Yeah, and right now that's looking like it's either going to be Nevada or San Diego State that will advance to play in the championship tomorrow. Boise State went down late in the season and actually had some nice success against Nevada. San Diego State is a team that is the team they have to figure out. They have to clear that hurdle. It's almost like basketball 5 years ago, BJ. San Diego State, which is a team that it was like the last basically check box they had to check, is figuring out how to beat them. And Boise State's on the court. It's like 5 of 6 or something like that. They've dominated the Aztecs lately. So now Justin Schultz and company trying to figure out how to overcome the mighty Aztecs.
He's Jay Tust, sports director at KTVB. My name is BJ Rains. This is Bronco Nation News Live. We're coming to you from the Cutwater Spirits mobile studios. More than 35 flavors, pre-mixed premium cocktails. Make sure you pick up a Cutwater for your next game day tailgate, your next round of golf. Beautiful weather outside, so highly recommend grabbing a pina colada, Long Island, one of the many flavors of Cutwaters, and checking them out. All right, Jay, did you know Spencer Danielson had a press conference a couple days ago?
I was there.
Yeah, he did. He talked, and it's actually made its way around social media, and it's gotten out there pretty publicly that Spencer Danielson talked. I actually think he said a lot of great things during the on-the-record portion of the press conference. I think he made a lot of great comments. I love his his openness about calling out schools, and I know folks wanted him to name names, and we'll get into that. But just he's not shy about saying what he says, and I feel like, Jay, there's not a question that I'm afraid to ask Spencer Danielson. There's been times in the past where you're I've thought about it. I was like, is this really worth ticking off Andy Avalos at the end of the presser? Is this really worth mentioning to Brian Harsin? Something you want to know or you're not sure how it'll go? I honestly have not come to that point. I believe, frankly, that you could ask Spencer Danielson anything. And even if he doesn't like the question or he may not answer it or say whatever, I don't think you're going to get the look or have him be frustrated. His openness has just been very welcomed, and it's been very nice. The increased access, we talked about this. We met with Spencer Danielson before spring ball, put out some concerns or things we'd like to see change. Many of them within a matter of 2 or 3 days were implemented. And so I think we're moving in a very nice direction with Spencer Danielson and the media. And I don't want to spend a ton of time talking about it, but I do think it's kind of the elephant in the room that has to at least be briefly addressed, Jay, given just it's become a story. It is what it is. It's become a story nationally. What happened after the press conference? You can comment if you'd like or not. I'll just say briefly, I think everybody kind of knows what happened. I tried to put it out there, and this is not me trying to bash on anyone, Jay. We all have tough jobs. I get it. I just more want to explain what happened because there has been a little lack of explanation from certain parties involved. So I guess I'll just say 21 minutes is what I had, Jay. About 21 minutes on the record in terms of the press conference was great stuff. As I said, when we turned the tape recorders off, we were kind of wrapping up our cords and putting away our cameras as you usually do, and you kind of just BS with whoever you're interviewing there for a couple of minutes, standard stuff. I asked a question, I believe, about the Mountain West meetings or something that he said he had just been to with his wife, and specifically he did say, so we're off the record now, right? And he said yes. We talked for a good 10, 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes. It was a pretty long conversation there after the press conference. Everybody left. And there were some noteworthy stuff that was, said during that time. And it's a mistake that I think at one point or another we've all made in some capacity, Jay. When you're talking to Spencer Danielson literally for almost an hour between the on the record stuff, you heard something, you're sure it was on the record. You put out a tweet, and unfortunately, it just wasn't triple checked. What was said was on the record or off the record. And again, we've all been there. And I'm not saying this to bash on the person that did it. I just think a little more transparency is owed to the public, since frankly some stuff was deleted and nothing was ever explained what happened. So I'm just trying to help do that. But this is not about let's bash on a certain organization or outlet or person. I'm just trying to gain some clarity, Jay, as to what happened. So we talked to Spencer Danielson for almost an hour. Some stuff was put out on social media that was intended to be in the off-the-record portion of the conversation. With that also being said, it wasn't exactly at all what Spencer Danielson even said, in my opinion. It could be interpreted differently, but I don't believe he said that NIL players couldn't get money at all. He just said that the collective wasn't going to promise or guarantee them money before they got to Boise State. They certainly, when they get here, can do that. And it's unfortunate. I feel really bad for Spencer Danielson because, again, he gave us almost an hour of his time, and that was what was hurried out and reported incorrectly. I really hope it doesn't affect media access and things moving forward for the rest of us. But, again, it's just one of those things in journalism that I guarantee I've done. I guarantee at some point you may have tweeted or said something, Jay, that wasn't supposed to get out, but probably didn't go this viral or this big. And it's an unfortunate part of social media in this business. It's a reminder to triple check things before you put it out there. I do think, just being completely honest, it could have been handled a little better, and whether it be an explanation or an apology or just something. But it is what it is. I don't think Spencer Danielson meant it at all the way it came out. And this is what I'm talking about, Jay. The On3 post is still up there. It's had over 2.7 million views. And Jeremy, I don't know you. I'm not sure if you watch a lot of shows or not, but he says they weren't controversial comments. They were illegal. You can't withhold NIL money. You don't have that right. SD is flirting with disaster. And that's the exact frustration, I guess, Jay, is that's not what was said. He's not flirting with disaster. I saw the Monty show yesterday say he's already on the hot seat and he better win quick or he's done. I just the comments that's not what he said, Jeremy. That's the whole issue here. Is it was misreported, mistweeted, and it's very unfortunate that that's now becoming the narrative, that he's making these illegal comments and Boise State's going to have recruiting problems because it didn't. That's not what happened, Jeremy. That's not what was said. He's not flirting with disaster. He didn't make any illegal comments. And that's probably the biggest frustration, Jay, with this, is that, again, Spencer Danielson gave us an hour of his time. And that's unfortunately what the big story has become.
Yeah. I guess trying to figure out a way to address it because I don't want to go too far into off the record stuff that was said, but I will say this about just off the record comments in general. They're not necessarily secrets, but they're sometimes in order to provide a little bit of background so that we can have accurate information to do our jobs. And so it's not like this is necessarily a secret or anything, but I don't think certain things were completely accurately conveyed with what Spencer Danielson said, even on that note. And so that was a little unfortunate. I think that all around it makes you just kind of pause a little bit because you see how you see everybody else's reaction to this thing. I mean, there was a Sports Center anchor that, basically said that Spencer Danielson you can't threaten kids this way. Do you know anything about Spencer Danielson? I don't think Spencer Danielson would threaten a bumblebee that was trying to land on his vanilla ice cream cone. Like, the whole reason why Spencer Danielson got this job is because, not the whole reason, but I do think it's a massive reason, was because of the player support and how he treated guys. And it wasn't that the moment he was the interim head coach that he just started treating people good. He had been doing it since the moment he stepped on campus 7-8 years ago. And so he is all about action, not words, action. And so let's not just forget about the actions that have led to this point. And that's just kind of the unfortunate thing for me, whether it be this story or another story. Like, people just need to stop and pause and think for a second, which just rarely happens. Rarely happens these days because everybody has access to social media and everybody has their own platform. I just think it's funny how, and I'm probably guilty of it too now if I look back over time, but people not really trying to relate to a topic, an athlete, a coach, or something like that before just smashing the keyboard and sending out a tweet. But that was one for me that I'm like, oh my gosh, like that now we're talking about him threatening people. Like, that's not him at all. It never has been. And that's probably a little bit of the unfortunate thing in this. Another thing that I want to say too is that you hear people talk about the NIL space, and I tweeted this out yesterday, whether it's in relation to this specific instance or any other issue, people are very simple-minded. And when it comes to NIL, and I'm sorry, but it's true, Boise State's collective is not a bottomless pit of money. Like, they don't have an endless, unlimited supply of money. They're not an SEC school. And that's why I'm sure that there are certain situations where you would make an exception for somebody that's, a true freshman coming into your program. But like anybody that's ever balanced their own checkbook, if you give money away, or if you pay, commit money to somebody that's coming into your program, again, what happens to all of a sudden the redshirt junior that's been in your program for 4 years, that stepped into a starting role last year and made a massive jump for you at safety or whatever position it is? If you're going to pay the kid that's coming in that's never played a down for you, then all of a sudden you probably can't reward that guy that just had a big season for you. And then guess what's going to happen to him? He's going to get tampered with. Somebody's probably going to try to get into that person's ear and enter the transfer portal. And then some other school's going to pay him more because you don't have anything to pay that guy. Like, that is the reality of it here. Like, Boise State, again, they do not have a bottomless pool of money that's been committed to their NIL NIL in general, but their collective specifically. And that's the issue at hand here. So I don't know. I just think that it's so much more complicated than people want to take it. Seriously, if there was a coach in America that just would want to make all of his players millionaires overnight, he's probably the head coach of Boise State right now. And so that's why it's a little silly to think otherwise, in my opinion.
And the thing that's frustrating is, like, the On3 post is still up. Like, it's got 2.7 million views. Like, I just don't understand and that's the problem. You mentioned Stan Verrett, Doug Gottlieb. I saw Joe Shad yesterday after it had been 24 hours, still retweeting and commenting on the On3 post. So they've updated their story. They've updated the story. But if the actual original tweet and the original wording and the screenshot of the tweet is still up there. So this is like the never ending kind of nightmare for a Spencer Danielson right here. And like you said, this is just not even close to the person that he is, or the perception that he now has. I've actually heard a lot of people and seen a lot of people say, you know what, like, it'll never work, but he's actually probably right. But again, that's not what he said to begin with. His whole thing is you have to come here and earn it. They're not going to hand some 3-star safety that's a senior at Los Alamitos High School and say, yeah, man, we're going to give you $100,000 and you'll get that first check the second you sign with us and step on campus for that first day of workouts, or first day of class. No, He's just saying that, because some of these schools they give salaries to every scholarship player from the collective and stuff. And his whole point is you got to earn it. And if you get here or on your own, you can go get some businesses to sign you, and you get here and you're doing a good job and the collective decides to sign with you. That's great. But they're not going to guarantee you money before you come, which I think anybody should agree with is not that big of a deal.
Again, though, like, not only do you have to earn it because there's somebody else that has earned it, and it's not a bottomless pit of money. And so for that reason, like I said, if you're going to commit money to player X or to A, B, and C, there's going to be barely anything left for X, Y, and Z. That is the reality of Boise State's NIL situation as a whole. And so I honestly, I don't, I understand that. And I think that everybody else should. And if you don't, then you need to commit money to whatever school you choose, you root for as collective, because they're going to need it in order to change it.
Yep.
But I mean, like, I even heard a take yesterday where, Boise State can't do this in recruiting. If anything, schools like LSU or SEC schools, they might not have to pay guys true freshmen coming in, but Boise State, in order to be competitive, has to. Like,
you saw the Monty show. You saw the Monty show.
I mean, that alone in itself is silly. Yeah. So let's commit all of our NIL funds to get true freshmen here so that when they do good, you have nothing else to reward them with. And then they wind up at LSU or some other SEC school. And if that's the case, you're just establishing that you're going to be the minor league program for SEC schools. And I just think that that's silly. Like, you have to find guys that have a different motivation to play this game. And if you think differently, I can't help you. Like, it is what it is. You're not, if you're going to find guys that are money, and there is nothing wrong with that, by the way. There's nothing. And Spencer Danielson, it sucks because he really said some transparent things through the on the record portion,
which we're going to hopefully get to here shortly. Yes.
And when you combine them with some of the off the record misrepresentations of what he said, it makes it sound like it's not good. But like, Boise State right now is shrinking their pool of guys they recruit. They can't go out and offer 200, 300 guys like some of these schools do. They're focused on like 50 dudes. And when it comes down to it, at the end of it, they really try to narrow that down to 20 to 25 guys that they feel like fit their mantra. And right now, that is, we got to find guys that aren't money motivated. And people might not want to hear that, but like, if they are, Boise State's going to lose that bidding war almost every time right now. And that's just that sucks, but it is what it is. These Power 5 schools are loaded. Boise State has some unbelievably generous boosters, and they're awesome human beings. You and I both know many of them, BJ. But again, the reality of it is, you go to some of these other SEC schools or Oregon or whatever, you're not dealing with millionaires. You have billionaires now. And it is just a different ball game in terms of that.
No doubt about it. And again, the whole thing again is unfortunate because a lot of this should have never even come out. And like you said, it was a very positive press conference. The fact that you kept Ashton Genty, and we're going to get to that here shortly. And so I'm ignoring a lot of the comments here. Like I said, I'm not trying to make this personal or about one person. It just wanted to kind of clarify what it is, because frankly, Jay, there's been a lack of transparency elsewhere. So I just feel it was kind of defend the media brand here in terms of what happened, and not to lump other groups together and things like that. It's been frustrating for all of us. Yes, we don't want to ruin the access we've developed and built with Spencer Danielson, and it does make you rethink. And it's a lot of times, Jay, why when I post a tweet, I post video with it, because I make sure the quote is exactly right, and I post a video. I know you do the same. We all want to race to our phone and be the first one to tweet something, and this is just a good reminder to make sure that you're 100% right in what you're saying, and backing it up with 100% on the record quotes.
We can all learn as we grow in our profession, and I don't know if if this should be a glass half full moment, but Spencer Danielson is probably the most positive, optimistic coach that I've ever been around.
I'm gonna say, probably glad this didn't happen when Andy Avalos was here.
Yeah, and so I'm just gonna, maybe the way that I would view this is the learning experience here is, even for myself, reminds me to pause and think. And I usually do my best to do that before I get onto social media, but it's just another reminder that and that's okay. Like that's something that we, in a day where nobody really seems to do that, it's just a reminder that is necessary at times. And
like I said, I'm not telling anybody how to do their job, but I think this also, Jay, could have been avoided a little bit if there'd just been frankly, an apology or frankly, an explanation as to what happened. And I'm just being completely honest. I would say this to the gentleman's face. I just, again, we're not getting specific here, but I feel like there's been a lot of stuff left out there unsaid and untold. I've tried to almost do that for him, just to move past this, and I'm ready to move past this. But I just, I think this could have been handled, and probably for folks watching would have felt much better, much more okay about the situation if you just own up to it, say you screwed up, and here's what happened, and it won't happen again. And it is what it is. But unfortunate for Spencer Danielson, and hopefully this, like I said, doesn't hurt our access or anything else moving forward.
It's funny, BJ, because I think when anybody leaves a press conference, they think of kind of like their hooks, right? Like how are they going to craft their stories? What, in a 3-minute sports block, what am I going to pick is the highlight of the press conference. And as I was walking out, getting ready to drive out to NNU to go cover softball, for me, it was like, hey, quarterback battle, man. He was very transparent about, the pecking order. And I'm sure we're going to get into that in just a second. He was also very clear about CJ Tiller and the communication and dialogue they had that, ultimately led to CJ deciding to transfer. But the biggest one for me was the fact that Boise State clearly is doing something right in the NIL world, or as a greater program, when you have bigger schools with, I don't even know bigger schools. You have more lucrative programs coming after your top tier talent, 12 of them to be exact, including maybe the most coveted running back in the country, and you don't lose a single one of them. Again, let's focus on action here, people. That is an incredible action in my opinion. So for all the attack of a misrepresentation of, Boise State's approach to NIL, for all the attack there, they're doing something right in order to have that type of retention. 12 for 12, not 10 for 12, 11 for 12, 12 for 12 on guys that were trying to be pried away from the Boise State football program. And one real quick clarity there too, if they're not in the portal, then it's called tampering if you try to reach out to them. If these guys are in the portal and those guys reach out, that is a whole nother argument. If that is legit. But to try to get these guys to get into the portal so that you can then recruit them, that is the issue at hand right here. And that is what is happening right now across the NCAA. And somehow Boise State, at least their football program, was able to somehow navigate that and find success.
Well, we'll continue that. I do have a quote to play, and I need to thank a couple of sponsors. But just in closing on this, let's not call for people's jobs, folks. It is what it is. It's not really a lot of comments on there that I'm just ignoring. It was an honest mistake. Could it have been handled better? Yes. Is it a big firestorm that is causing some issues? Yes. But I don't think there was any. I really honestly don't believe there was any ill intent on this, Jay. It happened, and we're moving on. But let's just, so we'll see how it's handled. We'll see if there's any kind of apology or whatever moving forward or what happens. But we come on. The guy made a mistake. Let's not call for someone's job. Let's move on. And just hopefully this doesn't have any kind of long-term damage for the media and our access, or for Boise State, or for whatever. You mentioned the tampering. Let's go there. But first, do want to Cutwater Spirits. I want to thank them. More than 35 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails. Stein Distributing is hosting a pre-party event on Thursday. It's 3 weeks from yesterday, before the night before the golf tournament on May 30th. If you're in the golf tournament and you haven't been invited or heard about this, email me. I think I reached out to almost everybody. You can come to this. Spencer Danielson will be there, and you can ask him a question about NIL or whatever you'd like. Looking forward to this. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's May 30th, and it's a ticketed-only event, RSVP list. So reach out to me if you're going to the golf tournament and you're interested in this. Cutwater Spirits, more than 35 flavors of premixed premium cocktails. Pick one up at your local gas station or grocery store. Lithia Ford of Boise, they're going to be out there at the golf tournament. They are giving out a a new car if you get a hole-in-one, a new car. And so we may need Camille to Uber out there or to help take back the second vehicle after Jay nails the hole-in-one and drives home the new Bronco Sport on May 31st. They've got 6 NIL deals with athletes. They're driving their vehicles. Jonah Dalmas is the new one. Check them out, lithiafordboise.com. View that full inventory vehicle, lithiafordboise.com. Taco Bell, we appreciate them. TacoBellWorks.com, SON Management Group. Check them out. TacoBellWorks.com. If you're looking for a job, they'll give you half your wages the very next day after your shift, and they will also give you free food while you work. You can't beat that. Taco Bell also sponsoring a hole for the golf tournament. We appreciate the SOM Management Group, the Nicolason family. Check them out, TacoBellWorks.com. And the Blue and Orange Store, theblueandorangestore.com. Free shipping, any order over $40. You got plenty of time to get out to the Boise Town Square Mall there on the second floor next to Pro Image for your Mother's Day gifts this weekend. Jay, I've already secured my Mother's Day gift for my wife from the kids on Sunday. I'm sure you've done the same already as well. So don't forget, Mother's Day is Sunday, and the Blue and Orange Store has some great deals. Check them out online at theblueandorangestore.com. And ICCU, Idaho Central Credit Union, they're back for another year with the Tyson Degenhart Show, and they're back as a sponsor of Bronco Nation News. They are a co-title sponsor of the golf tournament. They're giving out a sleeve of golf balls. What's the over-under on what hole Jay is going to run out of the 3 free golf balls given by Idaho Central Credit Union at the BNN tournament coming up in 3 weeks? But you get some free golf balls thanks to Idaho Central Credit Union. Check them out, iccu.com, the mobile e-branch online banking. It's the best in the business. Highly recommend them. And so happy the Raines family made the switch. Check them out at iccu.com. Jay, have you been to the range at least yet? Have you swung a golf club at all? Will the first tee shot on May 31st be the first time you swing a club since last year's tournament?
Yeah, there's a good chance. Not since last year's tournament. I got out a couple times after last year's tournament, but usually your tournament is the one that kind of kicks off the summer golf for me. So I usually get in about, I don't know, 5-6 rounds a summer. I'm hoping that can go up, but I'll take it for now.
Looking forward to that again, May 31st. I am offering a $50 discount for anyone that wants to play in the afternoon. We've got like a small, 4 or 5 small foursomes. It doesn't do well for the gap for the sponsors and stuff if there's a break. So I'd really like to just sell this thing out. And if you're interested in playing in the afternoon, I'll give you a $50 discount. I've also got a Spencer Danielson autographed football that I'm thinking about putting up for raffle for like the afternoon groups. Because for whatever reason, more people want to play in the morning. Everything is exactly the same. The sponsors, the lunch, everything in the afternoon. So come play in the afternoon. And we'd love to have you. I'll give you a $50 discount if you sign up for the afternoon. If you've already signed up for the afternoon and the $50, means a lot to you, I'll refund you. But we're trying to raise a lot of money for charity. Really want to sell this thing out. And again, you can see Jay and Johnny and Prater and Coach Burns and a lot of folks. Talked to Coach Burns at the softball game yesterday. He snuck out and is getting a couple of rounds in. He's going to be ready to go on the 31st. So hopefully you guys are excited for that. We're trying to sell this thing out. Email me, rains@bronconationnews.com, or check out bronconationnews.com/golf. And we would love to get you entered in the tournament here before it sells out. All right, Jay. By the way, Jay, Thomas Broplay, the second player announced for the TBT tournament on Thursday. There was a lot going on yesterday. That kind of fell through the wayside a little bit. But now Thomas Broplay and Justinian Jessup, the 2 announced players.
Yeah, Thomas is an awesome dude, man. Like, he was the one that was really the driving force behind getting this thing together initially. And so I would argue that if he didn't do that, I don't know if they would even been doing it right now. But Thomas is a good dude, and he's been playing at a really high level overseas in terms of one of the top European leagues for a couple of years now. So great to see Thomas come back, and he is a good dude.
So again, Thomas Broplay, the second player announced, and that is on July 17th at 6 p.m. I'm having a little bit of a signal problem. I don't know if that's me or you, Jay, but on your next, when you start talking here, I'm going to reload my page on the next comment here. But Jay, I'm not going to actually, you know what? I have one bite from Spencer Danielson. Let's just go to the quarterbacks, starting 9:36 here. I do have a bite from Spencer Danielson on the quarterbacks. Let's play this and then discuss what he said. And the first, there's two questions were asked here. The first one you asked about CJ Tiller, and this kind of led into the discussion that he was going to be number 3, which, again, I don't know how many coaches are willing to say it. When he's saying that, I'm like, he's basically admitting that he was 3rd string and they told him that. And that was one of those questions that, like, you don't think is like bad to ask, but like, I'm not sure. And again, this is not to bash previous coaches. I'm not sure a lot of coaches around the country come out and go, yeah, he transferred, but he was going to be third string. Like that was just the transparency and openness there from Spencer Danielson in this first soundbite, I think is very worth a listen to. And then he follows up with the pecking order going into summer here with the two quarterbacks.
Love CJ. I mean, you talk about a young man that has worked his tail off since he's been here. But I also when I tell our players that I love them, that means that I will sacrifice for them, and that is an action. It also means I will always tell them the truth. Sometimes that truth is easier said than done. Sometimes the truth is hard to hear, but it's always given the truth. And CJ's worked his tail off. And so I'm excited for him to have an opportunity. He deserves it. But obviously with CJ, talked about him being the third quarterback going into summertime, and that he was going to be able to compete. In that situation for him, it was better to go somewhere and get more play. I get it. But I love that kid, and I think the world of him. But I'm always going to tell guys the truth where they're at. Sometimes it's in a good way, and sometimes say this is the reality of where you are and where you need to grow going forward. And so excited where he's at, and I know he's going to do a great job there, and I wish him nothing but the best.
With Malachi and Maddox, in terms of that development, what do you hope to see over the next 3 months?
Yeah, excited to see him compete. I mean, we're going to go into summertime where Maddox is going to get the blue reps, Malachi is going to get the orange reps, and they're going to compete. And everything's going to be graded. Everything is going to be looked at, analyzed from summertime. Everything they do, runs to workouts to obviously as we work in the fall camp, and competition will be high. So at the quarterback position, competition is going to be through the roof, as well as every other position, hopefully on offense and defense.
How close are they to one another?
We'll find out in summertime. Yeah, we'll find out.
Again, even just saying that, going on his own, saying who's getting blue reps, who's getting orange, without having to specifically ask him is just very nice transparency and very much appreciated. But just your thoughts, Jay, on Maddox Madsen, again, in the summer, getting the and Spencer did clarify, again, afterwards or whenever that, hey, this is, I think it might have been on KTIK when I heard this part, but he just said, hey, like, doesn't necessarily mean he's first string. It just means he's taking the reps that you have to split them up first and second for the summer. And he's going to go with the ones, he's going to go with the twos. So I don't want to, he didn't want to overblow it too much and say, that he's the quote unquote starter right now, but he is going to be taking the reps with the one, Malachi Nelson with the twos. Your thoughts on that soundbite there from Spencer?
I want to start off with CJ really quick, just because, again, I think that when athletes transfer, oftentimes it can just, be viewed as a very simple decision, but I just don't think that it is at times. And I mean, it was a matter of a couple of weeks ago where CJ Tiller said he wanted to be at Boise State. And I truly believe that CJ Tiller wanted to be at Boise State, but circumstances can kind of change, and there's dialogue that happens, right? It's not just like the player wakes up and looks at a depth chart and says, I'm out. I think there's dialogue that happens, and I think that Spencer Danielson provided some of that dialogue, which was awesome. And either way, it did lead to CJ leaving, but you can still tell that, at least from Spencer Danielson's end, he cares about the kid and wants him to, go on and have success. And we'll see if that happens for CJ. But I really do think, like, it happens so often that I do think, like, the goal for any athlete is to not transfer. Like, you want to go to a place and you want to find a home and you want to have success and you don't want to have to transfer. But there are just things that change and circumstances that happened, and a massive difference between the situation that CJ was in and the situation that he was going to. CJ is a redshirt freshman. He will be this coming fall. He would have been in the same quarterback room as Maddox Madsen, a redshirt sophomore, and Malachi Nelson, a redshirt freshman. And so that pecking order could last for years, and it's going to be really tough for him if he can't crack it now to crack it down the road. I mean, how often do you have guys that are multi-year starters that lose their job to a guy that was already in that room? Like, that just never happens. And so now he's going to a situation where there is disparity in terms of the age of quarterbacks in a room. Utah State brought in a couple of transfers. They're upperclassmen. Again, CJ only going to be a redshirt freshman this coming year. So that is how he kind of, he changed his odds of eventually being a starting quarterback. And I just don't know how. I respect that. I don't think he's running from anything. I think that both player and program evaluate it, and this was the best decision moving forward. In terms of the quarterback pecking order, I agree, man. Like, it was awesome. Spencer provided some of that clarity, and I think it's stuff like this is just fair, because you have people on social media that want to just assume one thing, and it's just it just drives a narrative that can, you can really run with. And after the spring game, you see all these tweets about Malachi, and awesome, man. Like, he balled out in the spring game, showed off some of his unique abilities, but it was like out of sight, out of mind. Everybody wanted to just forget about Maddox Madsen. There's a lot of things that Maddox Madsen does very, very well. Yep. And it's funny to me that he just doesn't get any credit for it at times. I mean, at somebody, comment to the tweet that I put out about it, saying that, Maddox, and again, it's not a mass, a bunch of people. There's somebody that replied, and they said that, he's a below average quarterback like he was last year. And if you look at the 12 quarterbacks that threw 100 passes last year, Maddox was number 2 in the Mountain West in quarterback efficiency rating at just over 155, which 155, just about any school is taking that out of their quarterback. I mean, some of the schools that are contending for national titles, maybe that's different, but like, that's a respectable QB efficiency rating, no doubt. And so, I want to say to add to that while Spencer said, Maddox is with the Blues, Malachi is going to be with the Oranges, which would imply Maddox is QB1, Malachi's QB2. That is not set in stone right now, and he expects the QB competition battle to just drive into fall camp and be very, very competitive.
And I was thinking next week we could maybe really dive into this more. He had several quotes about the quarterbacks and what he's seen from Malachi's development, and I asked about Dirk Cutter's involvement in all this, being kind of a one-year guy, which I do think is a factor. He's not tied really loyally to either of these guys. He obviously has seen Maddox Madsen, but he didn't recruit either of them, and he's also not having to worry about ticking off Malachi Nelson's parents if he ain't going to be here after this season, So, I mean, like, and I don't mean it like that, whatever, but I'm just saying, like, I think that maybe if you have a Bush Hamden still here or a guy that's expecting to be here for multiple years, you might look at it a little different than literally one guy that's just trying to win every single game this year, because let's be honest, CJ Tiller starting the bowl game, I heard from several people, Jay, that Colt Fulton actually had just as good of a camp leading up to the bowl game, if not better. And the scholarship player wins out sometimes when it comes to that. And that's, I won't say politics, whatever, but like there is other things that come involved with the program than just always making the decision that 100% wins that game at times. It is what it is. And so I mean, why did Taylon Green remain the starter as long as he did, even though he wasn't actually playing the most snaps? I mean, if there wasn't at all them thinking about not wanting to lose him, then they would have just made the switch earlier, in my opinion. So I think Dirk Cutter, the fact that he comes in with no real loyalty to either guy and doesn't really care what happens after this year, he is 100% going to pick the best man for this spot and not worry about other stuff.
I know. I don't. Okay. First off, I know what you mean. I don't love saying he doesn't have loyalty to either guy. I know what you mean, though. I understand what you're saying here. Our good friend Johnny Ballgame tweeted something out yesterday. I think it was in reply to one of my tweets, but the last sentence of it was just basically saying, or maybe people should just, I don't know, listen to Dirk Cutter in terms of like what he thinks of the quarterback battle and things like that, which, I mean, I don't like to make assumptions about people, but I just feel like if there has ever been a coach over at Boise State that's not going to necessarily worry about the politics of making people happy, or make decisions just to make people happy, I think that he's your guy. He has a massive NFL background, and in the NFL, you have to make decisions to win football games. And so, yeah, sure, there's that to pleasing personalities to a certain extent, but I put full freaking faith in Dirk Cutter with whoever is under center against Georgia Southern. I think that Bronco Nation should just go ahead and do the same. Go ahead and have fun, talk about it, whatever. That's fine. But at the end of the day, that man's going to put the best quarterback, the quarterback that gives Boise State the best chance to win under center at Georgia Southern, and just believe that. I'll leave it at that.
Yep. Hey, Bauscher Real Estate, check him out, BauscherRealEstate.com. Seeing firsthand why he's the number one ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. So check him out, BauscherRealEstate.com. Kelly, Sarah, the whole team, they're doing a tremendous job helping us out. Check them out at BauscherRealEstate.com. Ridley's Family Markets, 13 locations around the state of Idaho, others in the surrounding states. You can get 40% off, up to 40% off, using their new app. You can get more information and find a location near you at shopridleys.com. Our title sponsor, rowpaint.com. Whether it's concrete coatings, interior, exterior painting, check them out, rowpaint.com. You will not be disappointed. Again, the best in the business, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. Check them out at rowpaint.com. You looking for a job? Transportation Compliance Service, TCS, transcomservice.com. They can help you out every step of the way. Getting into the trucking industry. It's a booming industry right now. Highly recommend it. Check them out. Transportation Compliance Service, TCS, transcomservice.com. All right, Jay, as I mentioned, we are trying to fill this golf tournament. We've confirmed with Tom Scott we're going to have the Pastry Perfection donuts out there. 20 dozen donuts waiting for you at breakfast. Come on out, get some Degenhart dozens. Join us. Again, you can win the free car if you get a hole-in-one. I'm looking forward to this. Going to be a lot of fun. And again, we want to sell this thing out. We don't want to have an hour gap for our sponsors with nobody in the middle because we can't quite sell it out. Every foursome unsold is less money for the charity, so I'm willing to take off $50 for the afternoon if you want to jump in. Email me, rains@bronconationnews.com. And again, it's May 31st, 3 weeks from today, out at Timberstone Golf Course in Caldwell. It's going to be a ton of fun. All your favorite players and coaches, they're all going to be there. Email me, rains@bronconationnews.com. We'll take care of you. We'll get you registered. It's going to be a lot of fun. And again, Jay Tust is going to be out there. We've got to find a new foursome for Jay Tust, though. The Atkinsons, partially on their doing, but I'm partially going to blame this next person, Jay. You have been replaced by Mike Burns.
With the Atkinsons?
Mike Burns, I believe, is requested to play with the Atkinsons, and Mike Burns has kind of pushed Jay Tust to the side.
Hey, if there's anybody that can, it's Bernie.
So what we're going to do is the night before the tournament, May 30th, at 6 o'clock, we have a little happy hour event. Jay's hopefully going to stop by after the sportscast. We were originally going to just auction off the chance to play with Leon Rice, but I think we might get more money if we auction off the chance to play with Jay Tust in your foursome. So Jay Tust, do you want to go after Leon or before in terms of the auction?
I feel like I'm gonna have to invite my mom to this and have her donate $10. So just
in the back, what movie is that where the girlfriend's bidding more or whatever and then gets beat out by the
yeah.
Oh man, that's funny.
Can I bid on myself just so I don't feel horrible? Okay, I'll
bring give Brady $1,000 cash, have him stand in the back, and then he can come in and help you out. But
where do I get the $1,000 cash?
That's a day or two's work for you. Come on. No, in all seriousness, it's going to be a lot of fun, Jay. We'll find you a group to play with, and I know there's a lot of folks already interested. It's going to be a lot of fun. May 31st, 3 weeks from today. Prater's going to be out there. We're going to have a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to having you there, Jay. And another busy day today. I know we got all kinds of softball, baseball, different levels going on today, Jay. And I know KTVB will have everybody covered.
Yep, we got you. Yeah, I'll be out at NNU here in a little over an hour as the Nighthawks continue playing the D2 West Regional. And then, 3 o'clock tonight. Hopefully it's just going to be a long day at Donald Larson Park. If they win, they run it back just after 6. So we'll see how long Justin Schultz can make us work today. Good luck, Justin.
Yes, they need 2 wins today, and then it would be 2 tomorrow as well. Hoping they can get it done today because I think tomorrow would be a nice Saturday. Take the family, and if they're still alive, that could be a lot of fun tomorrow if they can somehow find a way to get 2 wins tonight. So appreciate you, Jay, as always. Thanks to all of our commenters. Thanks to our subscribers. Thanks to our advertisers. It's a big kind of circle here, folks. Support each other. Subscribe. Go support the local businesses, our sponsors, so they'll want to keep sponsoring us. We can keep giving you free shows like this with Jay. So appreciate everybody for checking us out. Have a great rest of your Friday. Have a great weekend. Good luck to all the little leaguers and flag football players and the various sports playoffs I know also going on this weekend. My kids both got playoff flag football games tonight. So good luck to everybody with what they got going on. Have a great weekend. And we'll hopefully see you tomorrow at Donald Larson Park if Boise State can get a couple of wins. Otherwise, Mike Prater and I, Monday, 9 a.m. And we'll talk to you guys later. Bronco Nation News Live here at BroncoNationNews.com.